Good evening. Today in our culture, Americans are getting fatter and sicker every day. I think this is not only caused by a shift in culture and the evolution of technology, but it could also be caused by the change in what we eat. In the 1950s, there wasn't any GMO or genetically modified foods in the food industry or nearly as much processed food. After the introduction of Roundup-resistant corn in the 90s and the discovery that you can make high fructose corn syrup, maltodextrin, and all kinds of other sweeteners and thickeners out of corn, there was a major shift in our food supply, and now almost every food has some form of GMO corn in it. Have you ever wondered why the autism spectrum is growing bigger in this country? Not only has autistic spectrum expanded, according to the documentary Genetic Roulette, most of the gut problems that autistic children have can be linked directly to the ingestion of GMOs. Furthermore, according to the documentary, there have been links from GMO foods to infertility problems in the U.S. Some doctors are even recommending a non-GMO diet for 2 weeks or more before trying to get pregnant. According to LabelGMOs.org, 64 countries ban GMOs or require the labeling of GMO foods. The U.S. and Canada are the only two countries that do not require this. A lot of these countries are third world countries. What do they know that we don't? Our best friend to the east, China, is the biggest producer of GMO foods, and everyone knows how much we love to import goods from China. And they even require their GMO foods, to be labeled. Japan has strictly banned all GMO foods, and no GMO seeds are planted in that country. In our country, the government looks at these foods as substantially equivalent and therefore does not require any long-term or any testing at all. We need to reverse what people think about what they eat. The American people need to educate themselves as to what GMO foods can do to your body and what companies such as Monsanto, the developer of Roundup-resistant corn, are doing to your food. Some things to take into consideration are the potential to create unknown allergens, spreading pesticide resistance genes through cross-pollination to wild plants and to your neighbor's fields. There is also a big concern because these foods are not natural. In lab studies, rats that were fed non-GMO feed had pink testicles and their young were able to have babies. When fed GMO feed, these rats' testicles turned blue and their young were infertile. Their symptoms improved after being switched back to a non-GMO diet, proving that the damage can be reversed, but that not eating GMO foods in the first place would alleviate these symptoms. According to an article from Better Nutrition, 90% of Americans want GMO foods labeled. California is actually leading the U.S. in this fight with one of their propositions out there to get them labeled. The article also states that if only 5% of Americans refuse to buy GMO products, food manufacturers would change their act and start taking these ingredients out of their products and pulling GMO products off the shelves. Bottom line, you need to stop eating GMOs and educate yourself. They ruin the environment, they ruin your intestines, and they could cause infertility and autism. Also, you need to demand GMO labeling, and remember, only 5% have to refuse to eat GMOs to make a major change in our food supply. Thank you.